Okay, welcome back to the post-lunch session, the very post-lunch session. This is the unit BSBXCM401 Apply Communication Strategies in the Workplace. As usual, you must write the correct detail in the cover sheet: name, number, assessment due date, my name, signature, date, submitting. Okay. This task requires you to demonstrate the skills and knowledge required to facilitate and apply communication strategy in the workplace within your industry or simulated workplace provided. The due date is 31 July 22, which is about 3 weeks from today. Again, it's an open book assessment, but all work must be your own. You can refer to any learning sources or research anything further. Okay. Page number 4. This task is to be completed based on your workplace or simulated environment based in the appendix. All this instruction is anyway captured again, but I'll say it once. For this assessment, you are required to facilitate and apply communication strategy in the workplace communication that involves identifying communication requirements and assigning roles to fulfill them. Then choosing your communication method, instructing others on their roles and responsibility, presenting information to others, problem solving and evaluating communication process and reporting the outcome. Before you start this assessment, you must read through Appendix A, where there is a code of conduct and communication policy for the writer stream. So before you start writing the response, you should refer to this Appendix A, couple of pages of Appendix A. To complete this assessment, read the scenario and follow the instructions below. So what is the scenario? You have been approached by your manager who has expressed concern about your team's overall behavior, how team members speak to each other, and how this might be perceived by clients. So when they talk amongst themselves, it is not very professional. So if there is a client, right, they feel like, oh, what's going on? Is it a standard company or some local company? You have been asked to provide information and instruction to the team members about your workplace communication policy and code of conduct. Also, you are required to facilitate a discussion about the issue that have caused a change in the team members' behavior. So you are reminding staff member about the communication policy and also about the code of conduct and if there's any about the issue that has happened. Step 1, prepare for your presentation of information and instruction for your team members. You must complete Appendix B. Using the template provided, all this template is covered in the Appendix B. So whether you read it or not doesn't really matter. If you read it, it might help, but everything is covered in Appendix B. I'll read it anyway. Okay. Describe the work activity and communication requirement. Assign role to yourself and to others. You'll be conveying this to your team in task 3. That's why completing task 2 would really help. List your ideas and communication objective and seek clarification from the manager. Choose the appropriate method for presenting information. Choose appropriate method for communicating. This is about presenting, this is about communicating. Yeah, and seek clarification. That's the only difference. This is presenting, this is communicating. Yeah. Describe how your communication complies with legislation and workplace requirements. Appendix A. You can read this appendix in your time. Yeah, it's about the staff code of conduct, pretty self-explanatory. What you must avoid, what you must do. Yeah. And staff are acknowledging receipt of code of conduct and some communication policy. What all staff should do. Okay, come here. Preparation. Use this template to prepare to present and convey information instruction to your team. Remember, before you do the video recording, all of you prepare the role play script. Yeah, what does that script do? What does the script do? To help you to record yourself and other, right? This is kind of same thing. You are going to have a recording and explanation in the next task 3. This is a preparation for you. Okay. Question 1. Describe the work activity that involves communication. Right? Where do you need to use communication? It could be like training or team meeting, instruction briefing, you know, any performance review. You can choose anything you want. Okay, so that's your part here. List the communication requirement for the identified activity according to legislation and workplace policy. So once you identify the communication activities, say for example, it's about the training of an individual, right? They need to talk, they need to communicate, right? How? You know, the identity activity according to the legislation requirement. So we can talk about the code of conduct, the communication policy, you know, the correct way of communication and all that. Okay, part A is about the work activity where you need to communicate, and part B, any communication requirement. Question 2. In the table below, assign roles to yourself and others to fulfill this requirement. You will be conveying this to AT2. Okay, you write them here and you use this information for your next task. So what is it? The role, the name of the person, due date, and the priority. Okay. So you can talk about, so based on the communication activity that you choose. So for example, you chose training here, then all the tasks should be related to training, right? If you choose feedback or the appraisal in here, then all the tasks or role should be based to that question 1. Okay. So let me just write, for example, training. Yeah. So all the rules or everything that I will do should really be related to training. So task number 1, identify the training and budget need. What's your name? It's with me. Sorry, child. Due date I can write 18th of 7, 22 priority is high. Once I have the training and budget, I will go to the next step, which is approval of budget and scheduling. That should be with HR manager, or I can say finance manager. Once I have that, you got 2 days to really, again, that could be, you decide what you need there. Yeah, by your own media. Then you talk about the next, then you talk about the next. Okay. Due date could also be ongoing for some of the tasks. It's an ongoing thing, yeah, it keeps on without any set due date. So that's all about question 2. Next, list all your ideas and communication objective. Your manager must comment and sign off to evidence that clarification and assistance were sought. Any ideas or communication objective should come here. How are you going to achieve the communication objective? Training, how are you going to achieve it? All of you are in training, so what is that your company, your manager has done to allow you to come to this training classroom? Similar stuff can go there. Okay. Question 4, choose the appropriate method for presenting your information and instruction to the team. What is the method that you are presenting to your team? Is it via Zoom call, Teams call, Skype, face-to-face, email, letter, for social media, intranet? What is it, right, that you are using to present your information instruction? Okay. All good so far? 4 questions? Okay. Just hold a bit more and that's it. It's only 6 questions. Again, choose, see here, you are listing your ideas. Here you are choosing the method. This was for presenting the information. This is for communicating the information. Okay. So question 5. The appropriate method for communication. The method. Again, it could be a Zoom call, Teams call, Skype call, direct phone, face-to-face, all that thing. And again, managers. So question 3, 4, 5, kind of similar. Here you're talking about idea listing and communication objective. Then you are choosing a method of presentation, and then you are choosing a method for appropriate communication. And finally, question number 6, describe how your communication complies with legislation requirement and provide 3 examples. This is similar to what we discussed in task 1, the legislation, but just that we have put, talk in terms of your communication compliance. 3 examples. We talked about 4 of them, the Discrimination Act, Sex Discrimination Act, age, age discrimination, code of conduct, communication policy, all that things could go here. Just 3 of them. Okay, quickly let me recap task 2. What you're doing is preparation for AT3. You have a situation here, a scenario. You have been approached by your manager who has expressed concern about team's overall behavior, how team members speak to one another, and how this is looked in terms of the client's perspective. You've been asked to provide information and instruction to your team members about code of conduct and workplace communication policy. You are required to facilitate discussion issues that have caused a change in a team's behavior. Okay. All this thing is already covered in a template, so not doing it again. This is a simulated work environment for righteous being. And there are some principles and what is expected from each of the staff members. Then you acknowledge this, and then is staff communication policy. Yeah. Here is when your actual task starts. Describe the work in activity that involves communication. Like I said, it could be training, half-year appraisal, performance review, lateness to work, and a couple of other things. WHS concern. Now, according to legislation and policy, what is the communication requirement for this activity that you chose? So that's your task 2, question 1. Here, we are talking about assigning roles to yourself, right? That's me, and others as well. You will be conveying this to the team members in task 3. So you don't have to talk about it now, just write it. So if you're talking about training, this question 2 should be about training. Okay. Identify training and budget needs, then approval of budget and scheduling, then with more and budget. That's task 2. Yeah. Question 2, sorry. Question 3, 4, and 5 look similar. They're kind of similar. Question 3, list your ideas and communication objective, and your manager is putting some comment and signing it. Question 4, choose appropriate method of presentation and instruction to your team member. That's 4. And 5, it's about communicating the information, not just presenting. So presentation, you can say a PPT on a project, but communication, you can say a Zoom call, a face-to-face conversation. That's called communication method. How you will communicate with the person. Okay. And finally, your legislation and workplace requirement. So you can talk about WHS thing, racial discrimination, age discrimination. You can say staff code of conduct policy, staff communication policy, and just how your communication is meeting with those requirements. Okay. This is it. Any questions?